Before we start, my throat has been a bit sore, so yeah. Hey guys, today I'm reviewing The Lonesome Crowded West by Modest Mouse. It's this weird mix of like indie rock with country and a bunch of other shit, but despite all this genre mixing, the album still sounds super concise and cohesive. This is a long one. It's an hour and 10-ish minutes, and it's about 15 tracks. So the pacing could be good. However, we got some tracks that are like 2 minutes, and we got some that are like 6 to 10. The longest track being Trucker Atlas, and I'll get to Trucker Atlas later. I think the intro and outro are incredibly strong on this album. The intro, Teeth Like God's Shoe Shine, is incredible, has a tremendous amount of energy. It just shows how like soft-spoken and melodic and just catchy the singer's voice can be, as well as how harsh the album is going to get at certain points, which isn't that harsh. It's not super harsh. The lyrics are very much about what the album is titled, The Lonesome Crowded West. A lot of it is about West Coast America and just the development of it from basically plains and nature to this kind of crawling space of just cities and suburbs and nothing. And that's one thing I would like to point out about the entire album. The lyrics on here are really, really good. A lot of the time on the reviews, I don't mention the lyrics that much, as I think for a lot of albums that I've reviewed, lyrics aren't super important and it's more about the atmosphere the album creates. But for this one, it's very clear what Modest Mouse is trying to tell us. They're worried about these sprawling cities popping up all over the West Coast, and they're worried about how this affects the people living there. They sing about that a lot, about how this sort of environment that's now suddenly appearing on the West Coast, which by today's standards is, how the West Coast has been for 20 years. But back when they made this in 1997, that was kind of just starting. Their main point of focus is how this affects the people living there. The outro on this album is fantastic. I really like the first half of the outro, where it's kind of this, it's the most bare bones we hear Modest Mouse throughout the whole album. It's also the most country we hear Modest Mouse throughout the whole album. And it's really beautiful, and it's one of my favorite tracks on the album. And then the second half, we have the crazy, high energy, just noise from the guitar and the drums and everything that fades out into the outro. And it's fire. I think it perfectly ends the album in a way that makes sense. But as for the rest of the album, I think a lot of the songs on this album are fantastic. Almost all of them are fantastic. The most interesting part of the album is just the vocals are so catchy, and you can make out the lyrics so well, and it's has this amazing instrumentation in the back and just this amount of energy behind it. It's awesome. I really like almost all the songs. The only songs I don't like are Jesus Christ Was an Only Child, which I think is just kind of boring compared to all the other songs in the album, and Trucker's Atlas. Okay, about Trucker's Atlas. This kind of ruins part of the album for me, if not the whole album for me. Trucker's Atlas is the longest track. It's 11 minutes. First off, the first 3 minutes, 4 minutes are the only part where it's actually kind of singing, and that part is one of the worst of the bunch of the songs on this album, which is kind of, it's a scale, right? Because a lot of the songs on here are really good. So in comparison to those songs, this one's kind of whatever. And then the second half, it's 6 minutes of practically the same instrumental. It doesn't change, it doesn't develop, it doesn't do anything crazy, and it's super fucking boring, and I don't know why it's on the album. And this leads into the main problem, which is the length. It doesn't need to be an hour and 10 minutes. I think Trucker's Atlas could be completely cut from the track listing. Just remove the whole song and this album be an hour, and it would be way, way, way better. I think it would improve everything. But besides that, favorite tracks on the album: Bankrupt on Selling, Shit Luck, Trailer Trash, Cowboy Dan, Convenient Parking, Closing Time. There's so many good songs on this album. The intro as well, the outro as well. Again, so many good tracks. Overall, I think the length really just kind of ruins part of this album. Trucker's Atlas doesn't need to be there, and Jesus Was an Only Child is just kind of fucking mid. But besides that, it's a great album. I'm going to be giving Modest Mouse, The Lonesome Crowded West, a 8 out of 10. Hey, thank you for watching. Tell me what you thought about the album in the comments below. Did you like it? Do you not like it? Do you have something else you want to say? Go ahead, I don't care. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.
Well, all the apostles they're sitting in swing saying